Yeah, hi, it's the 27th of July 2018 at 1:15 p.m. I'd like to spend the next couple of videos, two or three videos, returning to this theme of value. I'm, it's really blowing my mind, the whole thing. I'll just give you a little background uh, to what I'm talking about. Years ago, I decided that I wanted to write, okay? And I thought, well, I don't want to write a normal romantic novel or something like that. I want to write something that's interesting to me. And I also wanted to write about something that was a horrible topic and was difficult to get. So, it was also boring. So, in the end, I decided on writing about the double entry accounting system, of all things. I'm not an accountant. My wife was studying accounting at the time and just couldn't understand anything. I thought, yeah, it's hardly surprising. It confuses everybody. So I spent a couple of years drilling down to find out what drives the bloody thing and how to present it and the whole thing. So I came up with this, just one day, I just came up with this quite an amazing way to explain things. And at the end of the day, I won't go into that in too much detail, but at the end of the day, in this business of debits and credits, yeah, it gets down to where money or value comes from and where that money or value goes to or where it's used. The credit is where the credit entry is where it came from. The debit entry is where it went to or where it was used. So, for example, if a business pays for electricity, your money comes from their bank account and goes to the electric company. So the credit is the business's bank account. You credit the bank account, came from the bank, and you debit uh, the electricity account because that's where it was used or where it went, the electric company. So there's your debit and credit. Okay, and if you think about the bank, you think, oh, that seems wrong that your bank gets credited when you're taking money out of it. Yeah, that's on the business's books. On the bank's books, it'll be a debit. Okay, so that explains that. But yeah, that's how it works. It's the credit entry is um, where it comes from. Debit entry is where it goes to. Yeah, I mean, there's more to it than that, but it's a very, very good system. But it made me think a lot about value and money. And we tend to think of, when we think of value, we think of money, don't we? It's an exchange of money. It's money here, money there, money flows. We're all thinking about money, money, money. We rarely think about value flows. It's an esoteric sort of concept that doesn't really apply to most of us, does it? So, who cares about value? Wrong. YouTube, right here, right now, yep, we're in a value situation. We're in a value flow. Now, I'll just tell you something else before I go on. In painting myself into a corner, and I can't go to any of these here. I can't criticise women, for example, or complain about them, or whatever, anything about feminists or anything like that, because I can't really do any of these things. I've painted myself into a corner. At the same time, I've painted you into a corner as well, because I mean, in a way, you sort of can't, having watched this time and again, you know, you can't really start doing these things because it'll be obvious, glaringly obvious what you're doing, because these things are provable. They just, if you're complaining, yeah, you're in the narc zone. There's no doubt about it. You all know it. Yeah. So I didn't mean to. I've accidentally painted you into a corner as well. So I've actually taken us all out of the narc zone. Now, come on, let's be honest. The last couple of weeks has barely been a ripple. I mean, I've had a couple of visitors, minor annoyance, but go back 100 videos and look at the shit fight that was on comments back there. Mm. You don't see any of that here these days. With the regulars, we all know this. So I've actually put us all up here. Now, a funny thing started happening, and I'll tell you about that in a moment. But first, I'll explain this. Suppose I'm giving you value, okay, and you're getting some. Oh, just could be feel good value. That's a value. Like you go to a movie, you feel good for an hour and a half, and you come out. I mean, you pay some money for it, don't you? You give some value, they give you value, you give them value, you give them money. It's value, money or value, same thing. They give you value, uh, peace, feel good for an hour and a half. You give them $20 or whatever the price is. Okay, So yeah, it's money or value, the exchange. Yeah. Okay. So I give you value. So credit my account, debit your account. I give you more value. Credit my account again, debit your account. Credit my account, credit. Yeah. So I'm getting all these credits, credit, 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 and you guys are fair. Most of you are very fair. I mean, you don't have to pay your debts. So, but there, and I should say here, there are two ways to extinguish a value debt. One way is to go back down to the narc zone, create some sort of bullshit reason that I did something wrong to you, and blame me for it, and extinguish the debt, yourself, unilaterally. No, I'm not going to pay it because you've done this wrong to me. But I mean, there's no point in that because I'm not asking you for money, and I don't expect money, and I know you're not going to give me money. Okay. So you can't do that. So you sort of pointed into, and besides, you're not that sort of person. So somehow you've got all these debits in your account. You've got to get some credits here. You've got to balance the books, but it's fair. Otherwise, you're not you might be a frugal person, but no, you're not that frugal. No, you pay your debts. So how do you do that? Well, he's given me thought, so I'll give him thought back. I'm not saying you do this at a conscious level because I think it all happens subconscious. Could be left brain, right brain, I don't know. But I think there's someone inside us all who's a fair person or whatever, and it's just there. No. We have to return, this is an idea I've got for you. And it comes out in all sorts of different ways. Sometimes I've just noticed that if you're in a good mood and you're joking around and that sort of thing, it's a good way to create something and get creative. I noticed Jay Lord did it the other day. He was joking around about, I won't go into the details, but so one thing led to another about AB, and how she could become a better conversationalist and hold a conversation and that sort of thing. And it was largely due to what Emily had spoken about and some ideas that Emily had. Not that Emily was even consciously thinking. She probably doesn't even know AB, or probably doesn't even know what I'm talking about. Jay Lord does. And he was sort of joking around and just said, oh, look, Emily could be AB's mentor. And then he went on to joke that AB could speak in Tagalog and Emily could speak in Spanish. Because they're roughly similar. They probably understand one another. I ignored all of that. I just took the first few letters. Yeah, Emily could mentor AB. I thought, gee, that's a good idea. That could happen. I think AB would be very happy to do that. And I've got a very simple formula. It'd be very easy to follow. And it wouldn't take long for AB to, she's smart. She'd pick it up. She'd go, I can't get this. Yeah, right. But I think Emily would be a good person to do it with. I'll talk about more about conversation and about that topic and conversations in another video. But the point was that I think that was Jay Lord actually returning value. I mean, that could end up making a business. It could be worth thousands. More than he'd be, prepared to pay or would want to pay in dollar, in a Patreon or something like that. I don't want Patreon from you guys or anything else like that. I like your thought value. I like the thoughts coming back. I like the exchange of thought value. It's good. So while he was joking around and stuff, I thought, yeah, that's a good idea. And I've already spoken to AB about it. Some of the ideas. I'll talk to Emily. I'll try and explain it to her. When she gets she's having a bit of free time and not under quite so much stress. I'll just explain everything to her and what happened. But it would be good. I think AB would react well to Emily. I think it'd be a good thing. Whereas she would struggle with any of us, which she does. But anyway, that was that. It was just one thing. And then last night I got a Skype call from Dinosaur Rocks. Sorry to mention your name, Rocks. It's harmless. Okay. And I think it was the same thing. I think, he was probably just saying hi, or thinks he was just saying hi. But underneath it all, I suspect he wanted to repay some of the value he owed in some way. I don't know. It's just, look, I could be wrong about this. It's just a gut feel. But we got talking about conversation again and having conversation. This whole thing's about conversation. And he'd been there at the very beginning when I was talking about AB, and I said, I just don't know how to get. She can't hold a conversation. I said, you got any ideas, Rox, on how she get? He said, no, I haven't. I don't know. He said, well, I could look it up on the internet for, some sort of a cheat sheet or something like that. And I asked the whole channel, you got any ideas on, how I can help AB have a conversation? And nobody was sort of saying, oh, come on, 101 magic, it's you do this, this, and this. Right? Nobody offered anything. And Rock certainly didn't. And I told him the story about what had happened with Emily and Jay Lord, and then I just to sum up, the idea is, Emily will come on and she'll say, I've had a shit of a day. And I thought, I'd think, yeah, that's what an Aussie old guy would say, to AB. I've had a shit of a day. So I respond saying, oh, that's no good, Emily. What happened? Why? What happened, dear? And she'd go on, blah 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 blah. And then I would respond, to what had happened, and I'd leave her another question. And I found myself at the end of each comment leaving a little question, like a few little breadcrumbs. Come on, keep talking, keep the conversation going. And I'd throw her another little question, and then I'd throw her and then with each comment I would either expand on what she'd said or I'd divert and go somewhere else. But at the end of each comment, and I've practiced doing it with others as well, just left a little question at the end of it. Now that meant you didn't have to initiate the conversation. You just sort of left it there for your counterparty, to give them something to feed on. Then they could run from there. But they had something you're giving them something to feed on. And I told this to Rox, and he said, "Jesus, that's so simple." He said, "That's just," and we're both looking at it, and it's just, yeah. And one thing led to another, and we were talking about, kids should be taught how to do that at school. And it was just there. It was just came right. Well, yeah, obviously do it on a web page. And they download it to the phone or something, or put paraphernalia, this sort of stuff. But yeah, explain it, because if you actually go on to YouTube, for example, how to initiate conversations. Yeah, they talk about how to initiate meet a person, initiate the first ever conversation. They don't talk about every other day after that how to keep how to keep a conversation going. No. It's only the first one, how to meet somebody, and it's like little kids go. You say, "Hi, my name's Jamie. What's yours? Do you want to talk to me?" "Yeah, my name's Elizabeth." "Yes, I want to talk to you." And then they stand there and look at one another and run away and go and say the same thing to somebody else. I mean, what's the good of it? What you really need to do is learn how to leave a few crumbs for the next person. Oh yeah, okay. So pick it up. It really works. There's no doubt about that. But I got talking to Rox, and what a great thing for for school kids to learn how to do. I mean, people generally learn how to do it. And I thought, well, there's yet another business for me, to do that. So if one fails, the next one, plenty more coming up. Oh, and it's that's what I mean. He was offering value, thought value. He wasn't deliberately, saying, "I've got this great idea for you," and anything else like that. No, just together, we just, and I'd say his right brain just said, no, this is good. That's simple. That would explain it to children, and children need to learn how to do it. And we were both saying, isn't it amazing that of all the things we learn, and because some of us are so intelligent, know so much. We don't know actually. If I ask you how to hold a conversation, nobody can answer. Well, Emily was about the only one who said, "Yeah, I just use questions." Yeah, and that was, and I thought, yeah, I sort of downplayed it a bit at the time, but I was always big on questions myself. I'll talk more about this later, but it seems that there are at least 3 bands of conversation. There's the very top one, which is very entertaining, which is where I like to play. But below that is what we're talking about here, is where you just have a normal conversation using a question dangler at the end of each comment or sentence or whatever, or whatever you comment, to give to the next person, which is not necessarily hugely entertaining, but it's acceptable. And there's probably a lower one that's just a pure information type thing. You might explain, or I agree with you. You can't really go anywhere with it. It's acceptable. Can't go anywhere with it. Or they might inform you about something or explain something. But once you get more up here, this inquiring and discussing, that band there, that's good. But yeah, I'll, as I said, I'll talk more about that in other videos. But the whole point of this video is it seems to be an exchange of value is possible up here, and down here you don't create any value. Okay, I mean, you're forever just taking value from one another. It's just, well, it's balanced out. You know, you take it from one person, give it to there. It comes from here, goes to there. You take it from there. You know, it's just, and it's horrible. But up here, I can keep giving you more and more value. It builds. Here, it's a zero sum game, win lose. You don't create fresh value, new value. And if you create fresh, you keep adding new value, put more value into the pot, more comes out of it, and your brain is actually going, no, and coming up with ideas that, I mean, you could pat yourself on the back later on and say, oh, look at that idea, that just made magic, you know, $1 million I've paid, you know, and I'm not going to complain. Yeah. You know, and if you say, you know, give me something, yeah, okay, we'll work something out. But can you see what I'm saying? Which only sort of, that makes me think, wow, what a what an idea for corporations. You know, you get all your staff and all your employees out of this zone. What's going to happen? They're going to have to offer one another value. You know, you paint them into a corner. They've got no choice. They can't rip one another, you know, make one another miserable. You know, we can't do that anymore. So what are we going to do? So yeah, you start creating value. Yeah. Corporations just go whooshka. Yeah, but it's I don't know. Look, feel free to. I really can't. You know, did Rox, you know, Skype me last night just to say hi and sort of, or was he returning value? I can't definitively say that. And you know, that's where the weakness. You know, was J Law just mucking around, or was he trying to repay value? I don't know. I can't. You know, you know what I mean. I can't really say yes or no, but it sure feels like that. Because you know, I don't get it off Power Talk, for example. I got booted last night actually, but I don't get any value out of that at all. There's nobody sort of coming up with these great ideas that, you know, that I think, oh gee, that's good. I could do that. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, yeah. No. So I don't know. You know, it's just a hunch, a feeling. It makes sense. It all sort of adds up. But is it true or not? I don't know. You be the judge. You tell me. Okay, it's good talking to you. It's Friday. I've got to go shopping, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.